Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Commander's Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, and basically anything else that I want to talk about. Now, I do want to start off this week by saying that I had my first bariatric appointment, and I was very, very nervous. Even though anything I posted didn't necessarily show it, this has been something that's kind of been weighing on my shoulders for a while, and it was good to finally get in there and talk to them. Now, I do have a checklist of things that I have to do before any kind of surgery can be done. One of those things is a sleep study. I need to have an ultrasound because I want to make sure my gallbladder doesn't have stones in it, and if it does, they're going to have to remove it. Stuff along those lines. But it is a step in a healthier direction. I've already been changing my eating habits, and I need to learn some better habits. One of my biggest problems is I'm not usually hungry in the morning, so I rarely eat in the morning. But we're gonna fix it, because bariatric surgery is not a wham bam, thank you ma'am, and then you're done kind of thing. It is the first step to changing your life, and you need to be able to adapt to that new life. And that begins now by learning new habits. But that's enough about that. This week, as far as magic content goes, I was listening to the Guardian Project, and they were talking about their deck costs. And it got me thinking about my deck costs, and I had a rough guesstimate on how much my decks cost. I knew there were some that were going to be more expensive and some that were, less expensive. But, until you actually, sit down and look at it, you don't have an accurate number on how much a deck actually costs. So I went through just the decks I have on Architect right now, which is not all of them. Believe me, I know. But without further ado, let's just kind of get into it. So the first deck that I had there was Tasker the Golden Fang. He comes in at about $1,300, but there is a discrepancy because he runs a gold-bordered Gaia's Cradle, and some of the decks do, and for some reason Architect thinks that card costs about $3,200, and I have not accurately sourced exactly how much it is yet, so I have just kind of omitted the cost from the overall for now. But yeah, let's move on to our next one, which is Tovolar Dire Overlord. He comes in at $340. Edgar Markov comes in at $720, and Edgar's almost 100 of that, or maybe even a little more than 100 of that. Then we have Tormod and Ishai, which is my Esper Zombies list, $430. After that, we have Kolaghan the Storm's Fury coming in at $390. Then Goreclaw Terror of Kalsisma at $920. My Baron Sungear and Falthus Shadowcat Mono Black combo deck comes in at $1,700. And then General Tazri 5-color allies comes in at $740. Then the ones that were very surprising to me, Nadar Selfless Paladin Mono White Dungeons comes in at about $610. Linden Steadfast Queen, my Mono White Hyper Aggro deck, comes in at $1,200. Just those two numbers just really blow my mind. But continuing on, we have Yumori the Collector, which is my Planeswalker control deck, comes in at $690. And then Sethron Heirloom General, which is Minotaurs, comes in at $540. Rionia Fire Dancer, which is a mono red token spell slinging deck, comes in at $610. And then Kelsian the Plague, which is a Death Touch deck, comes in at $490. And to follow that up, we have Finn the Fang Bearer, which is also a Death Touch deck. The difference being we go from Mardu to Mono Green at $440. Anyone the Ruin Thief, which is Rogues, comes in at $320. And this one was really surprising to me as well, because that list is still mostly the pre-con. I've changed out maybe 20 cards, and I don't even think it's that high. Next up, we have our Elf deck with Riss the Exile. He comes in at $770. Najila the Blade Blossom, which is a fairly high power 5-color warrior deck, at $860. And then we have Kumena Tyrant of Varaska, which is our Merfolk deck, comes in at $250. Adeliz the Cinderwind is a wizard deck, but it is a spellslinger deck more so, and it's my take on tempo and commander, and that comes in at a cool $600. And then speeding through the rest, we have Niv Mizzet Reborn, 5-color legendary only deck at $620. Gishath Sun's Avatar, which is just dinosaurs, at $450. Kangi Skywarden, which is Flying Matters, at $260. And Sliver Overlord, which comes in at a whopping $1,500. And then I do have another one to address here that I have on my Architect, which is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. The total deck there is about 2,900, but a few of the cards I have in that deck are proxies. Not many. I don't have like the fullest of what is a proxy in there right now. I know the number one that is a proxy that I do not own is Mox Diamond, because Mox Diamond is a $600-700 card right now. I don't have that. And CEDH pods are very, very relaxed on proxies. But yeah, so that's just what I have up on Architect. I, just looking at my desk, have maybe 4 more decks just kind of sitting around that I don't have on there yet. But for what I do have on there, that total comes out to about $19,650 tied up in decks. Yeah, that's a lot. And I know Andy and Coyle really talked about how like they didn't do this as like a bragging point, because most of the decks that I build are built with stuff that I've pulled from playing Standard and Modern and just drafting and playing Sealed and stuff like that. I don't actually spend a ton of money buying expensive singles. I buy non-expensive singles and then just kind of watch as they get more expensive. Very rarely have I like bit the bullet to buy an expensive card, because I've realized when I did it in the past, it wasn't worth it in the long run. So now I just play it smarter financially. Just, there's no point in straining the bank account if I can just play with what I have. And yeah, occasionally if I have like a good amount left over and I can be like, you know what, I've been doing pretty good on keeping up on other stuff. I can afford to, buy a $30 card. But I digress. If there's anybody out there that wants to send me a Mox Diamond, I would gladly accept it. But that's all I really have to say about this. We'll kick it to our midsection ad, and then I will be back with a slightly different topic. Hey, I just want to take a minute to tell you about my Patreon. I know times are hard for everybody, and I know it isn't easy to shuffle around bills and stuff. Believe me, I know that. But if you would like to help support the podcast and me, you can find the links to my Patreon in my link tree, which is always put into the description of either the video or the audio, wherever you're listening to it. It would really mean the world to me. Honestly, I'm just struggling to make ends meet most weeks. But that's it. That's all. If you want to help, the links will be where you can find them. And we're back. Now, I would really like to start off this part of the podcast by, first off, thanking Mr. Bevers. Last week, he gave me a shout out on one of his shows and sent people over to check out some of my stuff. And seeing community members support community members is always great, and to be appreciated for the work that I do, well, let's just say it definitely warms a spot in my chest where there used to be a beating heart. And yeah, like, I don't think I've smiled more in like the last 6 months than seeing the people just a quick message saying, "Hey, Mr. B sent me," and I don't think I can really thank him or them enough. It was just it was one of those, it's nice to be appreciated for the work that I'm doing kind of things. Because believe me, I know the numbers. I know roughly how many people listen to the podcast, and my reach has not been good, let alone great. So, thank you. But now, on to a slightly different thing. How do you gauge the power of a deck? So, let me give you a little context. I was playing Tassiger the other day, which is my lands and turns deck. And before we started, somebody had asked me if it has infinite combos in it. And I said there's exactly one way for it to go infinite, but it requires me to mill myself out, which I can't easily do. But the goal is take a couple extra turns, get as many lands into the battlefield as possible, and then animate them. That's the main goal of the deck. That isn't to say I don't have like different ways to win, but it just turned out like I drew Azusa on turn 3, and then I drew Vidalcan Orrery on turn 4, and turn 5 I was able to play my commander and do a couple of other things, and then it just, kind of like went from there. So I ended up winning on turn 7 with a Torment of Hailfire for, I think it was 30. Because I just hadn't hit a way to animate land yet. And it was turn 7 for the table. But I had taken 3 extra turns. So it was technically my turn 10. And I guess I just kind of want to end this with a question. What power level do you would you classify that as? Like, it's not a full-on control deck. It does run some control pieces, but the main goal is to just take a couple extra turns, build resources, and then go for the win. I don't know. I feel like somebody thinks I might have lied about my power level with that deck, and I really don't think I did. Like, it's still a very swingy deck, and I get that they might see it differently, considering it's a deck that is running powerful cards. Yes. But so's Linden. Would you consider Linden a high power deck? Or is white bad enough that running powerful cards isn't good enough? I don't know. It just seems like a bit of a double standard is all I'm saying. But yeah, I think that'll probably end up doing it for this week. Hopefully we can come to a consensus on whether I was an a-hole in that game or not. I will message people to see what their opinion is and go from there. But I will inevitably see you next time. Thanks for listening. The logo for the podcast was created by Nate and Erica Jacobs, and the music used was provided for use by Cody Mulpey and Ian Foss of The Crypt. You can find their music online by searching for The Crypt, and I must recommend them if you enjoy heavy music. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.